As most of you are probably aware, in the early 1970s there was a huge scandal with the presidential election between Republican Nixon and Democrat McGovern. According to the polls, Nixon was determined to win by a landslide. Even with the election in his favor, Nixon was paranoid. He allegedly wiretapped the phones of the opposing side's offices and spied on them to undermine the system. This scandalous accusation came about when 5 men were arrested for breaking into the Democratic National Committee headquarters located in the Watergate offices. This is known as the Watergate scandal. The Watergate scandal led to a Supreme Court case known as United States versus Nixon because President Nixon was using his executive power to avoid the law. He attempted to quash the subpoena duces tecum because he claimed he was not obligated to follow this as President of the United States. The court denied such claims and filed for an in-camera examination and a writ of certiorari. They then decided to have an appellate to further the trial. President Nixon claimed that as president, you have the right to communicate without anybody, not even the other branches of government, hearing about it or interfering with it. The Supreme Court acknowledged that he was right. He does have the right to secret communication as president of our country. On the other hand, this privilege only exists in certain cases. For instance, it exists in matters of homeland security or matters that have to be and remain top secret. The president can have incognito meetings where nobody can interfere only in specific cases such as those. Therefore, the Supreme Court decided that Nixon must hand over the tapes. They were able to back up this request because the judicial branch has a final say according to the Constitution of the United States. This is important because we lost a president due to the Supreme Court decision. After Nixon turned in the tapes and was officially caught for taping someone's lines on the opposing side, Congress began the impeachment process. Instead of going through the humiliation of being impeached, Nixon resigned from the presidency. Had the Supreme Court decided that Nixon was correct, the Watergate scandal might not have ever been solved and Nixon would have served an entire term instead of resigning early. For me, this was a difficult decision when you have to delve deeper into thinking about it. The obvious answer is that he was accused of breaking the law and should not have special privileges for this simply because he is president. But if you think hard, he did have the right to communicate without having interference, and the courts can't know that it wasn't about national security or something on a more important level until after they interfere. In the end, I think the Supreme Court made the right decision according to the constitutional laws. I also think that impeachment was the proper punishment, considering that he could have gone to jail for doing such a thing. Although I hate to see a president have to go through impeaching and resigning, I think it was the right thing.